Single black dad gave his last meal to. Homeless woman, a single knock. Changed his family forever. Sometimes, life doesn't change with fireworks or loud celebrations. Sometimes, it changes with a quiet decision, made on an ordinary day, by someone who believes their life doesn't matter much anymore. This is the kind of story that reminds us that kindness is never wasted, even when it feels like it costs us everything. It's the story of a struggling single black father who thought he had reached the very end of his strength. A man who skipped meals so his children could eat. A man who counted coins at grocery store checkouts. A man who prayed silently at night, asking for just one break. One rainy evening, with nothing left in his refrigerator but a single plate of food meant for himself, he made a choice that would rewrite his family's destiny forever. He gave it away. To a woman everyone else ignored. A woman people crossed the street to avoid. A woman the world had already decided was invisible. He had no idea that within hours, a single knock on his door would shake his home, his heart, and his future in ways he could never imagine. What followed was not just a miracle. It was a turning point. A divine collision. A reminder that the smallest act of love can unlock doors you didn't even know existed. So settle in, open your heart, and prepare yourself. Because this story may change how you look at people, at pain, and at purpose, forever. Marcus Holloway never imagined his life would look like this. At 36, he stood in the narrow kitchen of his one-bedroom apartment in Southside Detroit, staring at a cracked plate that held his final real meal until his next paycheck, still 5 days away. A thin slice of fried chicken. Half a scoop of rice. And 3 slices of canned green beans. That was it. His 2 children, 8-year-old Jaden and 5-year-old Nia, were asleep in the bedroom they all shared. Their soft breathing was the only sound in the apartment, aside from the hum of the refrigerator that had nothing inside but a bottle of water and a half-empty jar of mustard. Marcus rubbed his tired eyes. 5 days, Lord, he whispered. Just help me make it 5 more days. He had already skipped 2 meals that week so his kids could eat properly. He told them he wasn't hungry. He joked about dieting. But tonight, his stomach burned so badly it felt like it was folding in on itself. He lifted the fork. That was when he heard the softest knock. Not loud. Not demanding. Almost apologetic. Marcus froze. No one knocked on his door at night. He walked slowly to the door and peeked through the peephole. A woman stood in the dim hallway light, soaked from the rain. Her clothes hung loosely on her thin frame. Her hair was matted, and she held her arms around herself as if trying to stay warm. She looked tired. Not dangerous. Not angry. Just tired. Marcus cracked the door open. Yes, he asked cautiously. Sir, the woman said softly, her voice barely above a whisper, I'm so sorry to bother you. I was just wondering if you had any food, even a little. I haven't eaten in 2 days. Marcus swallowed. He glanced back at the kitchen. At the plate. At his empty fridge. At the calendar on the wall with the red circle around payday. He looked back at her. I don't have much, he admitted. That's okay, she said quickly. I can go. I didn't mean to. Wait. The word came out of his mouth before his brain could stop it. He stepped aside and opened the door wider. Come in for a second. She hesitated, then slowly stepped inside, dripping rain onto his worn carpet. Marcus walked to the kitchen, picked up the plate, and stared at it. This was his only real meal. He thought about Jaden's school shoes with holes in the bottom. Nia's asthma medicine he still needed to refill. The light bill sitting unpaid on the table. His stomach growled loudly. And still, he walked back to the woman and held out the plate. You can have this, he said quietly. Her eyes widened. No, sir, It's okay, he interrupted gently. Really? My kids ate earlier. I'll be fine. That wasn't entirely true, but it didn't need to be. Her hands shook as she took the plate. Thank you, she whispered. You don't know what this means. She ate standing in his kitchen, tears slipping down her cheeks between bites. Marcus didn't ask her name. He didn't ask her story. He just let her eat. When she finished, she hugged the plate to her chest. I pray God blesses you, she said softly. I really do. He nodded. She left quietly, and Marcus locked the door behind her. The apartment felt colder after she was gone. He sat at the table, sipping water to trick his stomach into calming down, and stared at the empty plate. Well, he muttered, guess I'm fasting. He didn't know it yet. But that plate would become the most important thing he ever gave away. A loud knock echoed through his apartment. Marcus jumped up, heart pounding. It was nearly midnight. He crept to the door and peered through the peephole. A man in a dark suit stood in the hallway, holding a leather folder. 2 more people stood behind him. Marcus frowned. He opened the door cautiously. Yes. Mr. Marcus Holloway, the man asked. Yes, that's me. My name is Daniel Pierce, he said calmly. And sir, I believe you helped someone very important to us tonight. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Important? Helped? He glanced down the hallway. Is there a problem? Daniel gave a small smile. No, sir, he said. There's a blessing. And that single sentence was about to turn Marcus's life upside down. Marcus stood frozen in his doorway, the hallway light spilling across the worn carpet beneath his bare feet. The man in the dark suit waited patiently, his expression calm but serious. Behind him stood a woman in a tan coat holding a tablet, and another man whose posture screamed security. I don't understand, Marcus said. I didn't do anything wrong. Daniel Pierce shook his head gently. No, sir. You did something very right. He opened his leather folder and pulled out a photograph. It was the woman. The same tired eyes. The same thin frame. But in this photo, she was smiling, dressed in an elegant blue blouse, seated in what looked like a modern office. Marcus blinked. That's her. Yes, Daniel said. Her name is Dr. Evelyn Carter. Marcus frowned. Doctor? She's the founder and CEO of Carter Community Development, Daniel replied. Her organization oversees more than $600 million in affordable housing, food security, and employment programs across the Midwest. Marcus felt the room tilt slightly. She often goes out alone, without staff, to understand what life feels like for the people she serves, Daniel continued. Tonight, she decided to walk the city as someone invisible. No credit cards. No assistance. No name. Marcus swallowed hard. She knocked on 27 doors tonight, Daniel said. You were the only person who opened. Marcus felt his throat tighten. And you were the only one who gave her your food. The woman with the tablet stepped forward. We tracked her safety bracelet. When she returned to the vehicle, she told us everything. Sir, she cried. Marcus looked down at his hands. I didn't know, he whispered. She said you didn't need to know, Daniel replied. That's why it mattered. Daniel cleared his throat. Dar. Carter asked me to tell you something, he said. She said the plate you gave her cost you more than money. It cost you comfort, pride, and hunger. And she said anyone willing to sacrifice like that for a stranger, is someone she wants in her life. He reached into the folder again and slid an envelope across the table. Marcus didn't touch it. What's that? An emergency housing voucher, Daniel said. A grocery stipend loaded with 6 months of funds. New beds for your children. School clothing. A job interview at Carter Development, full benefits. Marcus's eyes filled instantly. And, Daniel added gently, a fully paid 2-bedroom apartment opening in 3 days. Marcus's knees buckled and he had to grab the table to stay standing. This can't be real. It is, the woman said softly. And this is only the beginning. 3 days later, Marcus unlocked the door to a clean, sunlit 2-bedroom apartment with wide windows and fresh carpet that still smelled new. Jaden ran through the living room screaming, "Daddy, we got a real couch." Mia jumped onto the bed and laughed until she fell backward into fresh pillows. Marcus stood in the doorway with tears streaming freely down his face. Later that afternoon, a delivery truck arrived. Beds. Groceries. New clothes. School backpacks. A week later, Marcus sat in an office with glass walls and signed his first full-time employment contract in over 3 years. For the first time since his wife passed away, he slept without fear. 2 months later, Marcus stood in a community center packed with families. He had been invited to share his story. When he finished speaking, the crowd rose in applause. Then a familiar voice spoke from behind him. "May I say something too?" Marcus turned. Dr. Evelyn Carter stood smiling. Healthy, glowing, and strong. He froze. She stepped forward and hugged him tightly. "You saved my faith," she whispered. "I needed to remember what kindness still looked like." She turned to the crowd. "This man didn't know who I was. He didn't know what I could give him. He only knew what he could give me. That's the kind of world we should be building." Marcus was later promoted to Community Outreach Coordinator. His children thrived in school. Their fridge stayed full. But the greatest change wasn't in their apartment. It was in Marcus. He kept a small sign above his front door. "Someone once knocked on mine." Every month, he cooked a big meal and fed people who came to his building looking for help. Because he never forgot the night his last plate became the beginning of everything. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because kindness still changes lives. And your support helps us share more stories like this with the world.